Matt and I started dating senior year of high school. He was one of the popular kids on the football team. I, on the other hand, was a band nerd who hung out with all the band geeks. But no matter what, we were drawn to each other. A few months after we started dating is when he left for boot camp. It was tough to say goodbye, but I knew we'd be okay. After he graduated from boot camp, we spent 11 amazingly perfect days together. We spent our days sitting at the park and talking and laughing. It wasn't long after that he left for his first deployment, but that deployment went by pretty quickly. When he got back from that deployment, we went to Vegas and got married in a little chapel off the strip. Wasn't long after that until we moved into our very first home and had our little boy Ronald. About a year after we moved into our house is when he left for his second deployment. This was easier to say goodbye. Maybe it was because I've been through this before, but it was still sad and lonely without him there. The next few months went by rather quickly. I spent my days writing Matt letters and playing with Ronald. And then one morning, everything changed. Hello?
Is this Miss Ariana Bowen?
Yes, this is her.
This is Corporal Thompson at the Marine Corps headquarters. At approximately 6:29 a.m., your husband, Lance Corporal Matthew Bowen, was shot and critically injured. Ma'am, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Is that all the information you have?
All the information I have is that Lance Corporal Matthew Bowen was shot in the head by enemy fire and is currently in critical condition. You will be notified with any updates to his condition.
I sat there motionless and unable to move. I could feel nothing, but at the same time I felt everything. In a single phone call, I felt my whole world shatter. All I could think of is that my husband's dead and that he's gone. The more I sat there thinking about it, the more I couldn't believe it was happening. How could this happen to me? This isn't real. He's alive. He has to be. This is just some cruel and horrible joke that someone's playing on me. He couldn't be hurt because he's supposed to come home to me, right? I sat on my bed, staring at my wall for what felt to be hours, just thinking about him and everything that had happened. Then suddenly the phone rang. I grabbed my phone so fast that it slipped out of my hand and I had to grab it again. I answered it so quickly that I didn't even look to see who was calling me. After I got off the phone, I was so relieved. I was so happy. My husband was alive. He just got out of surgery, but he's doing great, and they said that I'll see him in a couple days. Later that day, I received another phone call, but it wasn't just any phone call. It was him. It was Matt. He was calling me.
Hey, beautiful.
I was so worried. Don't ever do that to me again.
I always keep my promises, don't I?
What on earth are you talking about?
I promised you that I was coming home.
The day he left for deployment, he made me a promise. He promised me that he would come home to me and Ronald. The next 4 days went by so slowly. All I wanted to do was see Matthew, but I had to wait until he got back to the States. I paced back and forth and played with my son, but nothing made the time go by. Matt returned to the States on July 3rd, and we were finally going to be together again. I was so nervous to see him. Everyone was trying to warn me that he may be a different person than he was when he left. He looks different due to his injury, and that he may not even recognize me or his son. Because all of those warnings, I made the decision to leave my son with a close friend of mine when I went to see him at the Naval Hospital. I walked into the hospital room with butterflies in my stomach, fully prepared to see my husband, but for him not to see me. I was completely wrong in what I was thinking. I walked up to his bedside and he looked at me and smiled, bigger than I had ever seen him smile before. My husband was alive and he's okay. And better yet, he remembers me and knows who I am. We arrived home a few days later. Matt was worried that his son wouldn't recognize him because of his injury, that he would look different. At first, Ronald didn't want anything to do with Matthew, but as soon as Matt spoke, that changed. All his son wanted was Daddy. I was as happy as I could be. Both my boys were smiling and happy and together again. The next few months were busy, filled with doctor's appointments and medical boards. We were constantly traveling back and forth from 29 Palms to San Diego at least 5 times a month. But that was okay with me. I had my husband back. That's all that mattered to me. My husband, Matthew Bowen, was shot in the head on June 26, 2013. The bullet went through his left eye and out his left temple. He suffered from a brain bruise and the loss of his left eye, along with facial fractures and facial lacerations. Due to his injury, my husband suffers from short-term memory loss and the loss of some of his long-term memories from before his injury. My husband is alive and well today to tell the tale. He was one of the lucky ones. He was able to come home to his family to live another day. I thank God every day for that.